All right, here we are. No Bethany, Dylan Scott,
What's
the
up?
Titanic trash panda.
The Titanic Crash Panda?
I,
Sure.
I don't know why not.
We'll go with that.
Bethany's not here. We need an alliteration of some kind. All right, two topics. Well, two kind of topics, two races.
Okay,
Um,
two races, two topics.
two races, two topics. First off, Deka Ultra. So before we get right to the Deka Ultra, I want to talk about before the Deka Ultra.
Yeah.
You, along with Mr. McGee, to kind of put out there, we need some money.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
worked.
It it did. It did. At least it had the optics that it did.
Mhm.
I don't know. It was either very good timing or the pressure worked. And having talked with some of the people who can pull a couple of strings on the deck aside, they were like, listen, of course, we don't want athletes to ever have to speak out about
No.
monetary issues or something like that, but it gives us leverage for us to say like, hey guys, what are you doing? Why are you making offers and not fulfilling them? Um, and I think for athletes that go out there and we race, we want to support the sport.
Yeah.
We want to. We want to be able to say, this is a great sport. They put on a great like event. Also, everything that they say that they are and that they're going to do, they do. And I try to be that last kind of person in my own personal life. And I expect that from whoever I'm interacting with or affiliating with. So if I have the expectation of me that if I tell you, hey, Dylan Scott says he's going to do this, he's going to give you that, he's going to do it in this time frame. Well, if I'm going to say that I support this, respect this from a sport aspect, and my name's going to be tied to it in any way, I expect them to meet that same standard. Um, and it's unfortunate that they haven't done that very well. Um, and I mean, I have no problem saying it, but yeah, it just happened to come out that we were talking, we have like our kind of athlete group chats about, hey guys, like what are we gonna do with the DECA season? And a lot of people are like, I'm not
Out.
lining up. I'm not doing it. Like until they pay me for like 9, 10 months late kind of stuff, I have no interest in doing it because all that means is I'm gonna fly somewhere. I'm gonna pay for the hotel cost. I'm gonna pay the race entry fee. I'm gonna do the race. They say I'm gonna get a grand, 2 grand or something, and then that never happens. So none of that, none of the expenses get covered, but still all the publicity of the race and the fast times and all that gets put out there. Um, and so when that came to light, and David made a little, comment about it, and I was like, well, we might as well just go all in on this and,
Yeah.
make some rumblings in there of like, hey, after this race, if you guys don't start paying up, you're not going to see me. You're not going to see Nick Riker. You're not going to see Makita. You're not going to see Kent. You're not like all the big names, all the sub 30 names that you're talking about, wipe them. And so that got some movement.
And you know what? I'm like you, dude. I'm a big Deca supporter. I've been there since day one. I've been pushing. I go. I support it. I help work at a Deca gym. I mean, part time, whatever you want to call it. But and I have no problem defending almost anything they do. Right? Like the
Yeah.
judging stuff, I can help out with. I can say we're learning. They're getting better. This, making better rules. Blah blah blah. But when it comes to this, there's just no backing it. There's no excuse. It's COVID is long gone.
Yeah.
This is not an excuse anymore. Spartan races, getting great turnouts, so you're either doing well or you're not. You can't be both. So you're either getting these great turnouts and doing well, and Spartan and OCR and DECA is really healthy, and you can pay your bills, or it's not and you can't. And we know that right now they are getting good turnouts. They should be paying the bills. And like paying an athlete a grand in the grand scheme of their company should be a drop in the bucket. That should be me tipping the pizza boy. Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't be anything, especially sometimes like it's like $500. Like, come on. Like
It's a
Joe's got
pretty,
to
I
have
mean,
that in
like
his
the
jeans.
it's not like the prize pool that they're having to pay out is $500,000.
No.
It's like, hey, we're paying out for world championships. It's like, you know, 25, 30 grand, like total
Yeah.
to pay out for, and that's going to pay out for everything. That's your Deca mile champ, your Deca fit champ, your team's champ, like
Yep.
everything, about 30 grand gets paid out. If and that could even be less than that, to be honest with you. But yeah, it's not like this crazy sum of money that you have to come up with to do that. So I hope that what happens is they do get more consistent on their payment schedule. I know you and I have talked before,
Mhm.
and athletes have said, like, listen, guys, I can understand like a 90 day, you
Yes.
know.
Business works on 90 days.
If business runs on a 90-day cycle and you call yourself a business, then, get on the bike and pedal with it. Like, let's get on the same cycle here. Uh, so I work, and I've made this statement before. I work for a small company, and I also work doing training on the side up under somebody else on a small company. Whenever I submit what I'm supposed to get paid as a contractor,
Yep.
that money's in there. Whenever I'm supposed to get a paycheck from my job, it's there. It's never a question of this is what we say we're going to pay you. This is the work you're going to do. That lines up. Here you go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the same. If my
Yeah.
paycheck is late, like a day late, I'm kicking my feet up till it shows up.
Yeah.
That's
That's fair
yeah.
because that's money you've earned.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Um,
made by offering prize money, they've created a contract. You fulfill your end, they got to fulfill their end. And
yep,
it should just be simple business transition. I have I feel, and I mean I don't mind publicly saying this. I feel for guys like Yancey and the Robin
yep.
and people on the floor, Nelson, who are down there working their butts off and are left in front of the firing squad and really have no control over this part of it.
Well, that's the other thing about like you don't hear athletes get that vocal about it because they know who kind of the front facing people are, and we
Mhm.
all have good relationships with them.
Yeah.
Like we like all of them. And so it's unfortunate because you're like, hey, they're not the problem. Like um
Yeah.
they're fighting for us in all actuality, but they're also the people that it it feels the same as like when your flight's getting delayed or canceled or something, and the person that you're gonna have to like that you get pissed off at is the person who's telling you the news, and you are absolutely shooting the messenger. They're like, what do you want them to do, hijack the plane? Like
You know what? That's a decent segue. So let's go right to the weekend where everybody couldn't travel worth a shit. And
yeah.
planes were canceled and everybody. But you were already in town. And this one, so straight out, everybody says this when we first saw this, and Nancy come up or someone had the idea. I'm like a Deka Ultra. We're gonna do 5 Dekas back to back to back. And everybody just said, okay, well, Dylan's gonna win. So what's the rest of us gonna do? When you saw it, man, did you actually like go like did you guys build this for me? Like, what are you doing here?
I don't even know, like,
It kind of reminded
because I
me
don't
almost of like a
remember.
Hunter in TMX, like it was built that well for you.
Yeah, hey, I saw it and it was brought up, and it was kind of like when it was brought up, I think was sort of deep into Hyrox like season for me. So my brain was kind of in that realm. And I don't know if I was particularly thinking about it. Um, and so, I mean, you look at the race and you go, "Oh, we're just going to do the deck 5 times in a row." Who's got an engine that doesn't seem to die out, and who's already all pretty darn good at just like one deca. And yeah, all signs kind of pointed to me for that. And so I was happy when it just so happened to coincide with like, dude, I'm gonna be in Illinois for work anyway. This is
Yeah.
gonna be super easy. Like, I'm just gonna drive 3 hours to Fort Wayne, triangulate my way back around to Chicago, fly back home. Um, and so of course, when I saw that line up, I was really excited for it. Um, but then I found myself like getting injured like 2 weeks out. And so now I'm sitting there going, well, I've signed up for these races. I've got an ankle that has just suddenly, gotten super inflamed and is not allowing me to really do much running at all without
Mhm.
decent level pain. And I'm trying to figure out how do I get healthy in 10 days to be able to go race. Um, and so that was definitely a wrench that got thrown in there to where it went from, oh, I'm glad that this is going to be almost 3 hours of racing to I don't even know if I don't know if I can race for 3 hours without this thing exploding on me.
Well, I mean, I know you're a smart dude, but like then you raced the day before
Hmm.
and you didn't exactly hold back. Like, like there was
Well,
at no point it seemed like there was no thought of maybe I'm gonna take my foot off the gas and save just a little bit for tomorrow.
no, what, and I mean, I think we talked about it beforehand.
Yeah.
I was like I told you, I was like, yeah, there's no reserve. We're gonna let rip. Like that's what we do. We race that way. But also, I was glad that I had Saturday to lead into Sunday because that was a test
Mhm.
of if I can race Saturday and I can race hard and I wake up on Sunday and there's no escalation in pain or anything like that, it means that I can give it a go. And so I would have very regrettably had I woken up on Sunday and felt like I'm getting, from one of those races, it's giving me, 3, 4 level pain already. I know that if I'm going to take 400 turns
Mhm.
on, a concrete floor with the inside ankle being the problem, I'm probably going to end up pretty darn hurt again. Um, but I had kind of weighed things out in that, you know, 2 weeks before, I had run to the point where when I got up the next day, I could barely walk.
Yeah.
And I was like limping around everywhere. And then I just took 3 days off of running and did like some mobility stuff and rode the bike and everything. And within 3 days, I went from I can't walk to I can run again. So I kind of worked out that if I fuck myself up enough, it'll be okay because it looks like it only takes about 3 days for me to have to get back. So I'm like, if I'm unable to walk, but I can run 3 days later, I'll just crash it and I'll be able to run 3 days later. It's cool. Like it's totally worth it.
And
That was my reasoning.
how far off was that? Did that got kind of play out the way you planned?
It played out okay. It played out completely differently than I planned. So like I ended up having so much trouble with the other foot. It wasn't even like so. I race on Saturday. I've got my, leading into it, I was using a lot of this tape that was sent to me from one of the like companies I'm working with that's got like copper infused tape. So I was putting that on to help for support, and then I was using a lot of the CBD pain cream that I have from a Vital Athlete. So like I was applying that stuff religiously, and I felt like I could feel my foot getting better. And I was like, great. So we go and race Saturday. I've got it taped pretty well, really supported. I get through all of that, have a good race, set like a 23-second PR. Saturday was
Best
great.
time of the year.
Yeah, yeah, 29:31, and I felt like super smooth. I did almost drop the ram on my head,
You
but that's
did.
okay. I managed to save that one and just push press it. And then I was like, we're switching to the kettlebell swing technique. My hands are too sweaty right now. So, so yeah, so we get out of that, and I'm like, dude, foot's doing great. Um, and then we get to Sunday, and we have the ultra, and run the whole thing and never feel anything like with regards to any pain down in that area. The closest I got to having anything happen was on the fifth Deka. I laid down to do my med ball sit-ups. Both hamstrings just cramped.
Oh.
And so I'm like, and so like really quickly, I'm like, oh, so I just kicked my legs out. So I did all of them just straight leg med ball sit-ups. Um, I don't know if I like I put my legs over the frame because like you could put your feet
Yeah.
under it. So I'm like, I guess I could straighten my legs over it.
I
So I
don't think
just
there's any
straightened my
rule.
legs over.
I've never read any rule saying you got to put your feet any certain position.
No, and so like the judge was kind of looking at me. I think she was confused too. She's like, why is this man just doing straight leg sit-ups? And I'm sitting there going like, ma'am, if I put my legs back, they're just gonna lock up on me. Um, so yeah, that was it. Like towards the end, the hamstring fatigue was starting to kick in. And that was really the only like problems I had race wise. Um, and I guess I guess we could circle back and talk about the
Yeah,
race a
yeah.
little bit.
Go for it. Yeah.
But the crazy part is so like we finish the race, everything's done, feel fine. Get in the car, drive straight up to Chicago, get to my hotel, step out, everything feels fine. I'm like, great, dodge a bullet, we're fine. Go to bed, 1 o'clock in the morning. The other, like the right side, so the left ankle was what I was having problems with. Like my heel up through my Achilles and then lower part of the calf. I wake up and the pain levels like a 7, 8. And you can just feel it. It's like pulsating, and it's just like this, and it's sending like a shockwave all the way up my leg and in my back. I'm like, oh shit. So like I get out of bed and like step onto the floor, and immediately pain goes up 9. I'm like, oh, I can't even walk. Um, and I don't know what's going like never experienced before. Didn't feel any pain during the race. I managed to like gimp down the hallway, get some ice, throw it on there, makes it worse. I'm like, shit, we can't do that. So take the ice off of it and just lay there in bed. DoorDash Tylenol. Thank goodness that there was a CVS open because I was like, dude, I gotta take something. Like this is killing me. Um, like take a bunch of medicine. Sorry, liver. Um,
Take one for the
we
team.
were we had other problems to deal with at that time. And dude, I laid there from 1 in the morning until 4, just rolling back and forth in pain. And I have a pretty high pain threshold. I feel like there's not much that I mean, you see the way that I train and work out and everything. Like I'm used to feeling uncomfortable. And this felt like my Achilles was just gonna snap. It felt like this tension and pressure and then this shockwave of pain. And I was like, what is fucking going on with my leg right now? Um, So I'm thinking I'm gonna have to cancel my flight. I'm like, I can't walk. Like, how do I get through the airport? And of course, this is around like 2:30 in the morning where it's still hurting really, really bad.
Yeah.
Finally fall asleep at like 4, wake up, and I can kind of gimp. And I'm like, I think we can at least make it to the airport. So, so I mean, I'm going to the airport slow as all get out. I'm just dragging my right foot. And I'm like, I have severely messed up and I don't know what is going on with this thing. Um, I take another 3 days off of running. Again, I'm taping it up. I'm hammering it with CBD cream, and it just goes away out of nowhere. It goes away. It was like pain level of I'm gonna have to cancel a flight. I might need to go to the like I might need to go to the doctor or something.
Yeah,
I don't
go to
know what's
Merge.
going
Yeah.
on with my leg, and I hate going to the doctor. I'm not gonna go unless I absolutely have to. It goes from that to like 3 days later. I'm like, I can do about 7, 8. Like makes no sense at all. I don't know what happened. I'm assuming that what I got was just like an acute bout of a like Achilles insertional Achilles tendinopathy or something,
Okay.
and it also caused the bursa sac down there in the heel to like get really inflamed. And so I think all that inflammation also started pressing on a nerve, which I've
That's what I
had
was just
nerve
gonna say. Some kind of
problems.
nerve thing.
Yeah, and which I've had nerve problems in my right leg before. So I think all of that, I got a ton of inflammation in the heel and the calf, pressed on the nerve, and was just like, hey, I'm about to hammer you with some pain right now. And then once all that was able to get, kind of under control, um, it seems to be doing fine. But it's crazy that I was like, oh, I'm so worried about this left leg going into, the ultra, nothing's wrong. And then I come out the back end and my right leg's like, surprise.
Yeah. Yeah, I've gone through some nerve pain before. I had that sciatica stuff, man, and nerve pain is
It's not
the
fun.
worst. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do. It's just you're just gonna hurt. That's just the way it
Yep.
is.
Yep.
Oh man. So going back to the race. So even before the race,
Hmm.
and were you lining up the competition? Was there anybody that kind of looked at you and you're like, okay, I gotta watch for this guy, I gotta watch for this guy?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of them couldn't get on a flight.
Yeah.
And I was a little bummed about that. So Isaac Sanderson was supposed to fly out, but he got, his flights got canceled and delayed due to that whole crowd strike issue. Um, and so like early on, him in my eyes, he was going to be the biggest competition, but also like he was going to race in the Beast in Utah the day before. So regardless of how good of an athlete you are, when you are going to race for almost 3 hours the day before and you're going to travel and all that stuff, he was not going to be bringing his A game.
No.
Um, and I mean, I raced 30 minutes the day before. Was I going to bring my A plus game? No, but I was going to bring an A game. Uh, I was not going to have nearly the fatigue or you know, level of stress on my body that he was going to bring in. And we have comparable times out there on the Deka course. So he was in my mind like, hey, this is going to be a challenger, but he's also going to be really tired. And so I don't think that whatever he's going to be able to do could match what I could do on that day. Um, I would have to have an off day,
Yeah.
in addition to him having a good day, having rebounded from all of that.
And then the other name that kept coming up was Grady Jackson.
Yep,
And
Grady Jackson.
Grady Jackson. And Grady's got the credentials and whatnot. And I think that Jonathan, I think was his name.
Jonathan Stern
I think that he screwed Grady Jackson over because I think
with
Grady got so
with
busy
how he
racing
raced.
him. Yeah.
Yeah. So Stern's a good runner.
Oh,
Like his marathon time's 2:52. But he was in college, he was like a 25 and change 8K guy. So I mean, which is really solid. Um, and also like Stern just races hard.
yeah.
He just races hard. Like he has no, there's, I think the gun goes off and he's just like, rip. And so that's how he attacks the race. And it's like, all right, cool. I'm racing somebody who's going to go kamikaze style.
Yep.
Like there's no holding back. Um, and I could see that early on with him on the bike
Hmm.
because I was beside him and I was pretty relaxed, pushing, 440 watts. I go off of wattages on the bike, and I look and I'm peeking over. I just see he just pouring sweat already. And I'm like, man, we are 20 minutes into this thing, and you're sweating like that, and you're pushing 70 watts less than me. I know you're running well right now, but that's gonna get burdensome. And so I knew that he was good. I knew that Grady was good, because he had been kind of close. He was pretty close to me in DC with the ruck. I know he's got a mountain running pedigree. Like he's a good athlete.
He's in
And
running.
to be
In running,
fair,
he's got good strength.
yeah, he's got. I raced Grady in a Spartan back in 2021 somewhere, I believe in it's either 21 or 22, somewhere in New Hampshire, and he beat the crap out of me. Like and I was talking to him before. I was like, dude, I remember you toasted my butt in I think it's like in Loudon, New Hampshire, or something like that. I got smacked. So like I know he can beat me in certain things. He's done it before. Um, and so we started off together for a bit of the race, and we were chatting. I was just sort of talking with him, feeling out how are we gonna approach this. And we were coming off the rower together, and we came into the burpees around the same time. I had a little bit of a lead by that point. Um, and then it just became like very much a solo kind of effort after the first round. Um, and I think somebody who, if you look at the splits of everything, who played it really smart was Mark Polson.
Oh,
Uh, he raced really smart, it worked his way back in. And then another guy who I don't think many people knew about going into it because he hadn't raced that much was Hayden,
yeah. I'll be
who
honest. He was not on my radar at all.
yeah, and he wouldn't have been. He had only raced one other time before, and it was in Colorado, and his time was like 34 something. But he comes from a cycling background,
Mhm.
like gravel racing. And he was like, "Yeah, dude, I'm used to like 6 hour gravel races." And I was like, "Well, you'll be fine." And honestly, he was one of the three guys that broke 3 hours,
Yep.
which is impressive. So that was only his second deca fit the day before, and then he comes back out and he runs five of them in a row. Um,
Yeah, he's got more
and does
experience than almost anybody.
yeah, yeah, no, he's killing it. So those were all guys that were on my radar um, going into the race, and I think I saw by the time we knew who was going to line up, I saw Grady as like the biggest opponent.
Yeah. I was so impressed with Mark as well because Mark is a guy who's like what 42 or something in that neck of the
Yeah,
woods and still seems to be climbing. Like he
yeah,
still seems to be getting better as we go along. And I'm like, that's impressive. Like,
it is
he's
impressive.
super fit and just keeps dialing it in.
And Like I think that a sport like this, particularly like a long endurance sport like this, um, you can continue to be pretty good and into your, I would say into your mid 40s. Once you start hitting the late 40s, early 50s, you might, that's probably where the most drastic fall off will happen. But when there's the less like top end speed, the less top end power, but if you just have like this long grindy kind of event, you tend to see some of the older guys hang in there.
Yeah.
Like you can see guys in their 40s who can race a good high rocks. And you see guys in their mid 30s who are like in their prime for high rocks, 34, 35 years old. You've got all the tools. You've got the strength, you've got the endurance, you've got the experience. And you don't quite see that, say, when you go down to short events, 100-meter dash, 200. All those guys are mid 20s. Like, um, so it's cool to see that, and I'm happy to be in a sport where that is a possibility for me, you know,
Yeah, you got a
because that
long
would
time to
be,
hold on.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a long, and I mean, who knows if I really want to be trying to compete for another decade and change? Probably not, to be honest. But it would be nice to be like, okay, say I'm 42 years old. By that time, my son is going to be around 15, you know, we can still train together. We can do those kind of things. And so when he really starts coming to his own at like 20, 21, I'll be towards the tail end of 40s. We could still do a lot of the same training and running and rowing and all that kind of stuff. And we could probably race a doubles race together if the sport still exists. Like it's all very much a possibility as long as he decides to go that route. And it's not like, actually, Dad, I'm gonna rip a violin. Like, okay, well, I better get used to concerts.
Dude, I'll tell you this straight up because like my son and I have had the opportunity to compete like together and even against each other, predominantly in Ninja Warrior stuff. And there's nothing more fun. And
Yeah.
then there's nothing more gratifying than when your son actually beats you head to head legitimately. And you're like, way to go. That was awesome. Like it's an amazing feeling and it's that the whole, it's the best loss you'll ever take.
Oh, dude, it's gonna be, yeah. I'm gonna make him work for every bit of
Oh
it.
yeah, I never give him nothing. Never let him win
Yeah.
anything. He still never beat
Yeah.
me in like in any kind of grappling match or anything like that. So he's still got the old man still crushing him there.
Oh, dude, hey, look, that old man strength is real.
Oh yeah.
That old man strength is real. Which I mean, look, Dave, it's not like you're a weak guy.
No,
Like,
no,
like
no,
you're
he actually says it's not fair that compared his friends dad what his friends' dads have to go. His friends can beat their dads. He goes, This is not fair. I'm not I'm working uphill here." No,
that's fine. You just got a bigger mountain to climb, buddy.
you'll be better, man. You'll be better. But so, and I remember one line you said to me during the race. And by the way, that whole kettlebell swing with the ram, yeah, I can't do that. I have to go into like a full split to get that thing between my legs. I'm
Okay.
just too bloody short. I gave it a try the other day. I'm like, no, that ain't working for me. But you said to me, I think it was after the race, three were fun, four and five sucked.
Yeah. Um, yeah, yeah, I was having a good time. Like, first one we get through it, I'm like, cool. Second one, still kind of rocking with it.
Yeah.
During the third one, I ran past Brooklyn, who won the women's race. And I was like, I was, chit-chatting. And I was like, I'm having fun. This is fun, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, this is a good time. And I came back around towards the tail end of number four, and I passed her again. I said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm about ready to be done." Like, and same thing from her. She goes, "Yeah, I'm getting pretty tired now." I was like, "Yeah, this is we've hit close to the 2 hour mark, and I think I'm ready to be tapped out."
Yeah.
It was midway through the fourth one where the allure of the event started to fade away, and the reality of what you were doing started to kick in.
You said it, man, and Brooklyn just blew me away. Like I know she was good from last year and stuff, right? And I know she was stepping up this year. I saw her in the fit the day before. She did fantastic. but I did not expect that out of her. I was blown away. I'm like, way to go. And young, strong, great future. It's just super exciting. I have to get her on here sometime soon because I was just so impressed.
Yeah, for sure. And what's funny is we were talking the day before about me, taking over her coaching and programming and stuff. Um, and, and so like after the race, when she had won, like she comes back up to her, she's like, "Will you coach me now?" I was like, "I was gonna coach you if you won or lost. It doesn't really matter. Like, yeah, if you want to work together, we'll work together." So I've had the joy of getting to work with her for, just going through the athlete intros, kind of learning about her training, what she's been doing, figuring out where we need to work on things, what her goals are, and all that kind of stuff. So she does have a promising future.
Oh,
And so I'm excited to see, what she produces throughout the rest of the season, through the Deka races as she transitions to the Hyrox world, races some of that. Um, yeah, it's great to see new faces, particularly young new faces, show up and show out. Um, and so she had a very impressive showing with that ultra.
yeah. And Beth and I said this on the previous episode. Just a classy kid, like just great, and just
Oh yeah.
good spirit. Like I mean, she was one of the people as she would run by. I judged the whole burpees the whole time. As she would run by and we'd like dance away, and she'd be like dancing on the course while she's running by. And just a good kid, just great. So
Dude, yeah,
awesome to see.
y'all did do a lot of dancing, a lot of dancing, a lot of singing. And honestly, it was necessary to get through that. I can't tell you how many times I ran past Jeff in the in the
Yeah.
transition area or whatever. And whatever song was on, I would just sing to him while I ran by. Like I was like, man, if I don't keep a smile on my face or something, um, this is not gonna be fun.
Yeah, he's like that was the hardest pit I ever had to do. He's like we're running through the pits and I'm trying. He goes, it was very little to do. He didn't need a lot, but I had to be running beside him the whole time. It's like it's
Yeah, dude,
crazy.
we made sure that those pit transitions were like,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. He's like it's
yeah,
full NASCAR.
oh, for 100%. Like he would be at the front of the transition zone, and I'd come flying through, and whatever drink I needed, I'd grab, I'd drink that. Let me tell you, I was 100% for my shots into the cooler with that. I didn't miss. Your boy was locked in. It was just sip, throw, boom, all day. They
Our
need they need me on the 3v3 basketball team for the Americans right now because we are sucking.
Oh, I haven't seen the 3v3. I remember playing that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking forward to like Canada basketball this year is actually solid. For a while we weren't. We went from like when I was a kid, we'd have like no NBA players, and now we have a full
Mhm.
Olympic team full of them and like some legit good ones. So,
Y'all are probably the biggest rival to the Americans, I would definitely. So yeah, but there's also they got 3v3 basketball
no,
as part of the Summer Olympics. And dude, our squads, we're 0-2 right now. How are we 0-2 in basketball? Like,
I don't know. That's gonna hurt.
I don't know. It's
That's like when we go. That's like when we start out bad in hockey. But we got our women's
Mhm.
soccer team, man. I can't believe they're still. They went from the
Yeah,
6 point penalty, and now they're on to the quarterfinals.
dude. I'm trying so hard to keep up with all the Olympic
It's hard.
sports. It's almost impossible. I have locked in so and I know we're getting completely off track, but I've locked in so heavily to the rowing regattas.
Oh, I bet.
Dude, I have watched so many heaps of 2Ks. Like and they have so many classes. You've got
Yeah.
your singles, you've got your doubles, you've got your quad, you got your quad sculls, you've got your eights, so I'm watching all of these classes. I'm like, I'm sitting there watching somebody from Tajikistan row, like the women's Tajikistan rowers. And I'm like this is awesome. I'm having a great time. I'm just on the bike, just pedaling away, just watching 2K after 2K.
That's amazing. I, I, I'm the same as you. If you put a flag on it, I'll watch whatever the hell it is.
Dude, it's amazing. And track and field starts tomorrow. So like
Yeah,
we're
big. That'll be big.
again that same group chat that brought up the DECA stuff. We've got like a track and field fantasy draft going on. So me and Rich Ryan and Nick Riker in on that one, and then there's like a whole different group that puts it on, but we've gotten
Yeah.
into that group, and we got some side bets going on with that. So track and field season.
Awesome. All right. We'll jump ship. We'll go from Deca.
Yeah,
Was a great event. And by the way, even before we started, I know there are a lot of athletes who thank you and David and Nick for what you guys did out the card because people are starting to get paid. So good stuff. Hopefully that continues. Let's go to Hyrox
yeah.
and we'll go with the new qualification standards and all that stuff they just laid out. And I mean, just let you sound off about how you think about it. Or I'm assuming you're dialed in and know what all of it is.
Yeah.
So
Yep,
just
yep, yep.
tell me your thoughts. What you're thinking.
Well, I'm automatically into everything, so I
So
love it.
it's perfect. The system
It's
is
perfect.
flawless.
Perfect. The system is flawless. I am into every single major. So that is all I care about. The rest of you can kick rocks. No. I do actually like that they're benefiting the major winners. I
Mhm.
agree with that, to be honest. If it's like, hey, we last year should count for something for winning like a big event. I'm fine with that. They have precedent of doing it. They're like,
Mhm.
hey, whoever won European champs got in, whoever won. And so if we're making this major system something that's like even bigger than just the race to qualify for worlds, like this can have, repercussions for a while. I'm okay with it. I also agree with the way that they did like the roll down from worlds.
I liked it.
Totally fine with that. Because I think if you look at the guys that are automatically in right now, I don't think anybody would argue that those guys aren't top 15 in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like unquestionably, you look at it, you go, Hunter's in, Kent's in. When Kent's on, Kent's top 15 in the
Yeah,
world.
we've all talked about Ken. We know that Ken's going through a rough time, but the
Yeah.
reality is we do know that Ken is an amazing athlete, and that if he is mentally in and ready to go, he will
Hmm.
be deadly. Like he'll be.
Yeah.
It's just if
A-
he's going to choose to be or not.
Absolutely. And so, but yeah, we know from a talent standpoint and a what is their ceiling,
Ugh,
it's up there.
huge.
So you see Kent's in there, and then you go, all right, now we got Ronkovic, reigning world champion, perfect call. Sandbach, we know that when Sandbach is there, he's amazing as an athlete. James Kelly has elevated his game.
Yeah, I
He's consistently showed up the last three races. Um, even like his race that he just had in I guess it was it Sydney or Melbourne, I don't remember.
think it was Sydney. I think it was Sydney. Either way, we'll go
Either
Australia.
way,
It was in
either way,
Australia.
showed up 57:30, put it down,
Looked
great.
great, especially for
Um,
early season.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Then I'm in there. And even if I wasn't in for my major, if you took my two fastest times, it's like a 55:34 and a 56:37.
You're
I'd
right.
be in on the time qualifier. And I think when I'm there, I'm easily top 10 in the world. Um, so I don't think it's a question of if I'm top 15. I think I've consistently shown that. And then you put Pelayo in there, and Pelayo has shown that he can race at a very high level. So the seven guys that already have spots locked up, I think should have spots locked up. And you would want to see them at every single major if that's an opportunity. Um, so that's how I feel about it. The I like the time qualifier, the way that they're doing it now, better than in the past.
Okay.
Um, it's still it's still a little clunky. Like there's still like you can still make arguments for there are certain courses that were so fast.
Yeah, and they're
Like
still going to affect it.
Berlin was insane
Yeah.
how fast Berlin was. And that's gonna play in. So you could have a guy who realistically is getting a minute and a half given to him, even because that course was 3 minutes
Yep.
fast. So even if you average it out, he's getting a minute and a half. And that could preclude somebody else by just, 5 seconds, where it's like, nah, that the athlete that you're boxing out is actually like a minute and 20 seconds faster than that guy. Um,
Yes.
so you have that. I think whenever you do races at like interesting venues, I don't know if we count those.
Like
Um,
interesting venues. I like that.
Yeah, yeah. When it's like when you say, "Hey, we're gonna do this outside and this setup," that's very like a single lap run. It's very different from what most Hyroxes are like. Um, and so I think whenever you take that tack with how you're going to set up the race, we should be like, hey, this is a non-time qualifying event. These are not going to count. Because the dynamics that come into play now are a lot different than the controlled environment of what your world championships are going to look like, what all your majors are going to look like. And I think you could even make the case for saying that the time from the majors shouldn't count, because the layouts are pretty different. Um, so if you're going to use time qualifiers, I think it needs to be a very, very standardized course that you're predicating things off of.
So the one problem there with not using time from the majors is you might have someone like Meg who might not run any other races but the majors because she's probably going to run every major. So then
Hmm.
she would have no qualifying times for next year.
Yeah, no, I know that there's
And
like
of
a
course,
flaw in
assuming she
that.
will win a major and all that stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's just a bit of a thing. Um, um, I've gone it publicly how I feel. So there's parts of what I agree with you with and parts that I don't. But I'm still chasing the thing that will never happen.
And so what actually I haven't heard
Okay,
what
so
you're
so I like no auto qualifiers.
okay.
I like no time qualifications for the majors. I would like the
Okay.
majors to be open.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah,
I'm already on board with that.
and that's what I mean. And so the thing is, it's never going to happen. That's why when I was on Matt's show, I said it's a small step forward with this double two race qualifications, and at the same time, it's a bit of a big step away from where I think they should go. So it's almost a step in the wrong direction while at the same time possibly being a small step forward. Because yes, two averaged is better than just one
Mhm.
knockoff race, but it doesn't go towards where I think they need to go. Because if you just had that simple majors, right? Four majors, one last chance qualifier, wide open, and then you're just seeding the top 15. So you got your good viewership, da, da, da. You can, yeah, I'm pretty sure most of us could seat the top three people out of 15, easily pick them. You're going to get your great races. You're going to get your great viewing, and courses set up doesn't matter anymore. There's no worries about it. There's no time quals. Everything's head to head. All that controversy goes away.
I mean, I'm fine with it. Like I felt the same when I first heard about the major system. I felt the same way.
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't like the I didn't like the pretense of having to qualify for a race to be able to qualify.
Yeah.
Um, I was very much a fan of like, hey, if we could make this, you know, somehow, if we can make this a race that was really good for viewers, and I think, I mean, at the same time, you gotta pretty well clear the course.
Yeah.
I think you do have to have a cutoff of how many people can be in it, to be honest, but I think it needs to be expanded well past 15.
Okay.
But if it was like 60,
Yeah, you were always like, I remember you saying before, you kind of like that, okay, open for anybody who's run a previous race of about, like, say for the men, sub 62 or something like that, or sub 63.
yeah,
But it
yeah,
was,
I was a fan.
yeah.
I looked at it from like the track and field standpoint of like you have your A standards that you have to hit
Hmm.
to be able to race in certain events. Like to be able to race in the Olympics, if you had to either qualify, you've got to hit a standard from a time standpoint. You have to be selected by your delegation or whatever, or you have to race in through the Olympic trials. So you have this thing where it's like we're not going to get a watered down athlete.
No.
They've proven their merit. Let's get them in there and make sure that they're able to have a chance to qualify. And I don't think if you were like sub 60, that's our limit. I think you would get 50, 60 athletes
Yep.
probably in there. And the thing is you might have to send them off in waves.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a problem because it's not as head to head as it could be, but you still get the same course,
Yep.
pretty much the same amount of crowding for everyone because as the people who started early, they're going to be probably finishing early. So towards the tail end, if you
Yeah.
didn't have an open course at the beginning, you're going to have a more open course at the end. So it's going to sort of play out pretty darn well. Um, but it's not going to happen.
No,
Uh,
no, there. I mean, I like to call this German engineering. And I think back to like the Porsche 911, where they built it and they put the engine in the back, and it caused issues. There was so much weight distribution to the back with the engine, the transmission, everything on the back. So then, rather than just put it in the front with everything like and get the weight distribution right, they spent 60 years engineering their way around it to make it good. So rather than just go away from that first idea, we're just going to keep playing with it until it's good. And if it takes forever, rather than just admit we didn't have a great idea. And I think that's what they're going to do. They're just going to keep going away at it until it's accepted as this is what we got. But
yeah,
it's good. I
and
mean, it's
also like I try to put on like the hat of the event organizers
mhm,
and the production side of things and how it would look and how you do it. And I understand that I'm short-sighted in that I only have the view of an athlete
mhm.
and maybe a tiny bit of insight from the people I've spoken with, like within the Hyrox realm. So my ideas are always presented with that caveat. It's like, I think this would be the best way to do it, but I also don't have all the information to know exactly what it would entail to make my dream of the scenario come true and how hard it would be for that to be implemented versus what is being implemented now and how much better is my idea than their idea, if it even is better. Um, so I think there has to be a bit of humility from the standpoint of pitching ideas
Yep.
without having the full picture.
Yeah. I look at it as I'm not in there. Like, I mean, I run races, but I don't have a stake in the game.
Hmm.
I look at it as a fan.
Hmm.
And I mean, I like to think that I have a decent amount of insight into it, but I look at it as a fan. And to me, the most exciting race for me last year, if I take out rooting interest, for example, like if I'm rooting for you or rooting for Tara or rooting for whoever, Lauren, whatever the case may be, if I take out my rooting interest, the most exciting race for me was the LCQ. And it was because
Yeah.
anybody could be there. It was just like that US Open golf thing where it's just like it could be anybody's day and it's completely fair. Everybody has just got their shot. And I like that. I love that feeling. That's why I thought like to me, if they were all like that, oh, it would be fantastic. It would be great. And
Yeah,
I have no
and I
doubt.
think the viewing experience wasn't bad.
No,
Like,
it was
well,
great.
they didn't do like the live stream of it. They did like a post cut.
But if they had done the proper viewing, like some people are like, oh, well, they need the grid. I'm like, no, they don't need the stinking grid for a good viewing. It doesn't, no. The grid, to be honest, bothers me at some points. I don't like it on the lunges. I don't like it on the burpee broad jumps, and I don't like it on the farmer carry because everybody gets all mixed up and mashed up, and you can't tell where anybody is. And, what lap are they on? How much further do they got to go? It just, I don't like it at that point. I like it for the sleds, but
See, I think that the grid is very helpful for live viewership.
like in the venue,
Yeah.
yes, I will give you that.
In in the venue, the grid is better just because it can condense things a little bit more. Um, Depending on how you're gonna set up like stands and all that kind of stuff. Now, the way that things were set up in France, you could have just raced the course straight up, because you had so much like up above area that people could view down on things. And yeah, I would say outside, like the LCQs were super exciting. Um, the most exciting race was Worlds. Like
Worlds was fantastic.
Worlds was fantastic, and I wish I could have been up there and been a part of it instead of piddling around in the back playing with my shoelaces or whatever the hell I was doing. Um, yeah, Worlds was great. Like I watched it back, and I was like, I watched it back as a fan to just watch the race play out, and I was like, man, this was the men's race was phenomenal.
We watch it now, and it's got to the point where their production value, they've done so well with their production value, and I kind of put that they're almost on par with CrossFit, like where they're doing their
They're
production
getting
value.
there.
And it's to the point where like me and my buddies were like, okay, Worlds or majors coming on, let's get together and sit and watch this
Yeah.
stuff and have a beer and like, scream and yell at the TV, and that's where they want to be, right? And they're getting right there, and so I give Hyrox credit for a ton of stuff. They have done a lot of great things, and that's one thing. The production has gone through the roof. I'm really happy for it, and I can't wait to watch this year because I think it's going to be even better.
Dude, I'm really excited. Like, and and this is like from a selfish standpoint, but I'm so glad that like they have this stuff so that, when I'm like 50 or 60 years old, I
Mhm.
can be like, yo, you wanna watch what I used to do? Like, like, come here, grandson. Let me let me show you what Paw used to be like.
There you go. There you go. Baddest ass grandpa. There is. Um, so knowing where the majors are now too, and this is definitely an advantage that you have, you can actually plan out your season quite nicely.
Thank
And
goodness.
yeah.
I need that.
So
I need that in my life.
so do you have a base idea of where you're gonna go, what you're gonna do this year?
Yeah. Yeah, immediately when they came out, I put up what I apologize. I'm bailing on Toronto. Um, it's right before Amsterdam,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna make the move on Amsterdam, and I'm gonna go there. So my plan, looking at this whole season, is to race um 5, possibly 6 times. So what I plan on doing is major number one in Amsterdam. I plan on racing in Dallas.
Mhm.
Um, and then I plan on racing major number three in Las Vegas. I plan on racing major number four in Glasgow. If I need to, I'll race the LCQ and then wherever Worlds is. So that's kind of my plan for the entire season. And that's the whole Hyrox thing. And the only other plan I have from a racing standpoint is I'll throw in Deka Worlds in December.
So interesting. And I heard the guys on Race Brain talking about this, and I had already had it in my head anyway. But if you're somebody who's, you know, kind of just at the back of that Elite 15 and maybe getting the roll downs and stuff, do you target Hong Kong? And that because I was thinking that too. I'm like, if I was there and I was like borderline, I'm like, I would be all over Hong Kong. I would put all my chips in Hong Kong.
Yeah, brother, if you've got the money to fly to Hong Kong and the PTO and the time to do it,
Yeah,
I think that would be like, and what, unfortunately, what could happen is you could have, I mean, Hong Kong could be a hell of a race because what you get is you get a bunch of people who are all around the same ability level. Nobody's gonna blow it out, and they're all like, "This is my shot." And the Hong Kong major might be the one that is the most competitive.
yeah. Because, but I think like it'll be the people that are like, 7 through 15, like those are the people I think, and that's what I mean. That's what, yeah, I think you're right. It'll be so competitive. Like it's the only major I could see possibly Megan Lauren taking off, right?
Yeah, I can see. So
You
like
know?
I'm talking. So right now I'm working with Tara and we're looking at her season, her plans. So like she's gonna race Toronto
Yeah.
and she's gonna try to get that time, a decent time there. So where her average out kind of brings her closer to that cusp. And she's like, if I get a roll down to Hong Kong, I might take a shot at it.
Yeah.
Um, so
All right.
that's
Well,
kind of
I'm gonna be there trying to make sure the course is fast, really fast.
yeah, make sure the course is fast. Like we need her to go like 63 something.
Yeah, we're gonna angle.
That'd
We're
be
gonna nice rounded corners. We're gonna.
Yeah, smooth it out, clear the course, get it. You know what? I'm not even worried about whether the course is fast or not. We're just gonna have her fit. She's gonna be fit. She's gonna be ready.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. And yeah, I could see. I would guess because I know the venue for Toronto. I think is a fairly decent size, and usually a decent size means you get a faster course because you can get a bigger layout. So hopefully that works out well. It'll be a good event anyway. Um, the other part that I really liked about what they brought out was the roll downs for,
Mhm.
now it doesn't stop at five. I never understood the three qualify unless they already have it, and then we're only going to take two. I never got that. So this just keep rolling down and makes sense to me.
See, I actually didn't even catch that part, but um, I kind of liked the five.
You liked the five?
I
Oh no,
kind of did.
I like the roll. I just
I
like the again, it just seems logical. I do get the argument of, well, that means you could have like the 12th person going.
well,
Well,
that's how David got into
yeah, yeah,
That's how David got into Worlds. David was like 10th or 11th in
yeah,
Chicago.
yeah.
And that shit rolled and rolled, and that ball kept rolling and kept rolling. And finally, it just hit David right upside the head and said, "All right, you're racing." So, I mean, that's how it played out. And, if you had a healthy David Magida, then
Oh,
he,
he
he
would have
would have
been,
been,
yeah.
yeah, he would have been a
He would have been a
decent,
player. He would have been a player.
yeah, it would have been fine. But, I liked the five. I thought it was kind of like it made it a little more of like you got to be in the mix. But if they do it a different way, it's fine. And honestly, it might end up benefiting me. So
What do you think about the LCQ and that if, for example, somebody has to pull out of Worlds, the next person to fill out would be fourth on the LCQ or fifth on the LCQ. So yeah, so they at least have announced how they're going to replace anybody who has to pull out from Worlds.
fine.
Yeah, I'm all right with it too because at least it's announced and they
It's
people know
yeah,
ahead of time.
it like people know ahead of time, and also the LCQ is gonna be close to Worlds, so that means that whatever performance, you're not gonna be pulling from like a roll down that happened in October in Amsterdam. You're gonna be pulling from somebody who just raced and they weren't third, they're fourth. Okay, like
Yeah.
they're fit.
And it's going to be easier too for the people because the people who race in the LCQ, and this is going to make it exciting too. So you're going to race the LCQ. The top three are getting in. Well, if I'm four, five, and six, I'm not pulling back because there's a good chance at least one or two people are not going to make it,
Hmm.
right? So I'm going to push for those spots too because they could be incredibly important. They could be getting in as well. So I think it adds that to it as well.
You're so excited about the LCQs.
I like
You're
the
just like
LCQs, man. They're the
you're
best.
jacked up. You're like, man, I can't. Can we just fast forward to Barcelona and the
Look, you
LCQ?
guys who are gonna make it, just go make it. Right, we'll just write you down whatever. Fine. Let's go to the LCQ and just fucking get it done.
Dude, that's my plan. I'm hoping to catch people not as fit in October and me just always being kind of fit and see what happens.
Yeah, it's not a bad strategy. I think it's gonna work. I think it definitely should pay off. All right. You got anything else, buddy? You
Man,
good?
I don't think so. I think the only thing I got is I need to go put some food in this little skinny body. I'm hungry.
Don't blame me, man. I'm hungry all the time.
It's terrible, man. Like wake up hungry, go to sleep hungry. Like I don't know what's it's just I might move too much. Some people say I do.
You do tend to work out like 4 hours a day. You burn a couple of calories.
One or two,
One or
you
two.
know.
All right,
But yeah,
everybody.
no, that's all I got. Thanks for having me on again, Dave. Always enjoy chatting with you, man.
Anytime, bud. All right, everyone. Take care.